Welcome to the What You've Been Watching podcast. Official titles?
Official titles.
Official
Where
titles?
we're going with it.
I am the indefatigable Mike Dudley. Coming at you live.
Sorry, that made me laugh. I am Marcus Dudley, MD3, coming at you from the co-pilot's chair. The Chewbacca to his Han Solo. What's going on, everybody?
So,
with us is Tucker, the young cousin.
What's up, guys? It's Tuck Nasty.
Tuck Nasty's mama's dish.
Young
That's
Jamie, a.k.a.
Right.
Riley Get Stacks, a.k.a. Get Papers, a.k.a. Cool Mo D.
That's right. Took place. That's my favorite Chappelle joke, by the way. Is when he's like, the Battle of the Cool Mo D concert, which took place at
a
Cool Mo D concert. Oh, man. So anyways, what you been watching, man?
Man, what I've been watching?
Yeah, probably the same shit I've been watching.
I've been watching that Matrix, son.
Yeah, Matrix Resurrections.
So we're going to talk about the Matrix, the new Matrix movie, Matrix Resurrections, starring Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss and a bunch of unfamiliar faces that you have not seen before.
Chenwick?
Who?
She was she was one of the daughters of the dragon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Also, Jada Pinkett Smith. Also,
yes. Everybody. Yeah. A lot of familiar faces. One face in particular that you definitely missed. But yes, what'd you think about it, man? Matrix Resurrections.
Okay, so we should probably just say off the top that there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this. If you haven't seen the movie already, just go see it. I don't know what I can tell you. At this point, who knows how long this is coming out afterwards. So just go see it.
Yeah,
spoiler review is over.
It's on HBO Max. Yeah, you've had the holidays.
So, to be honest, man, I'll tell you the same thing that I said to you as soon as it was over when we saw it together. It feels like this was all sizzle and no steak, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's spectacular and grandiose in its vision. It, for me, just didn't deliver a lot of the nostalgia. Well, it delivered on nostalgia. It didn't deliver the same emotional and philosophical concepts as the originals, even in the first trilogy.
Yeah, I was about to say with the nostalgia, I'm glad you corrected yourself, because the whole movie is literally like pitched on nostalgia. Like, its very existence is pitched on nostalgia. But yeah. No, I agree with that. All steak, no sizzle. I like that.
It's to me, it's like looking at a mirror, right? Like, it's everything you want to see. Like, all the tropes of the Matrix are there. All the Matrix things that make up that movie are there, but there's no depth to it. Like, especially in comparison to the philosophy and the religious aspect and the overall grandiose arc of the original trilogy. It's very lacking in that. It's got everything you want to see in a Matrix movie without the substance.
Because even the second and third movie took a big hit, because I know one of the biggest complaints from 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3 was everyone at 2, a lot of people I know were like, it's not a mindfuck. Like, it's just an action movie, which I was fine with. But like, even in this one, I felt like I really wanted to like it a lot more than I should, and I'm still glad it exists. Like,
sure.
I'm such a Matrix fan that I'll play in this world for as long as they keep making them. Like, I'm a simple mark for these things.
Oh, let's get one thing clear. If they make another 3 movies of this, I'm going to go see them. I'm going to go see them. Like, it doesn't denigrate my joy for watching the Matrix trilogy, but it's just it is a different beast now.
It's very much so. Very much so. It was underwhelming. There were aspects I really enjoyed of it. Tucker, do you have your phone with you?
I do.
Can you Google? I'm gonna botch his name. The choreographer of the first Matrix. He did
fight choreographer.
Yeah, fight choreographer. It's Yun Wing Pyun, I think. Sorry.
Yung Ping Wen.
I was close. Yeah, Yung Ping Wen. They definitely miss him, because he is not doing this movie in the fight scenes. There's some cool like shots, but it is lacking in that department seriously. If you've seen the trailer of Keanu doing the bullet stop and bending missiles, you've seen everything he does in that movie. Like, he overdoes, which I understand. I like the fact that it's escalated in this new Matrix, which we'll definitely talk about more. But like, we all know that he's the one. Any agent they throw at him, he's either going to dive inside of or just fuck him up. Like, he can't be beat on a like he can't be bested physically. So I like the fact that they escalated it to now it's like, oh yeah, every person around you is potentially an agent, not just one at a time, but all of them. So I like that escalation and the fact that like we're going to bring war helicopters at you. Like, we're shooting missiles and rockets and bullets. Like you can't come up here and kung fu us with your bullshit. Like
right.
Especially spoiler alert once again. At the time, he can't fly, so it's not like he can jump up and fly away and be like, "Live to fight another day."
Yeah, it was interesting how
that part made sense. Like the escalation of like, you better be fucking block some bullets because we're bringing them by the truck.
That's right.
Yeah, anyways, go
just
ahead.
rocket launchers on top of rocket launchers. It's interesting how they neuter Neo.
Yeah.
They bring him back just to neuter him, which they kind of explain in terms of spoiler alert. They bring Neo back because Neil Patrick Harris is the new architect, or he's not the architect, he's the analyst,
Yeah.
And he basically runs the Matrix as if it was a corporate business. It's all about maximum output from all of the human batteries,
which I liked.
And they find out that by constructing Neo and Trinity and putting them within the same matrix, that they within themselves are able to generate enough power to power the entire robotic civilization, because those two, for some reason, it's like Vegeta and Goku doing a fusion. Just their power output together is, however, they can't have them together because eventually they wake each other up.
Right.
And so they have to find a way to keep them separated. So they initiate these separate lives where Trinity is married with kids and Neo is a game developer
who develops a game within
the Matrix.
Yeah.
So
see, there's still other people in the Matrix. It's the new code, is what I understand, is built off of them. So like they are the framework for the new Matrix.
Right.
Their anomaly, which, spoiler alert, Trinity is also the one now. We'll get into that in a minute, but like their coding or whatever is the framework for it. And then so they built a new Matrix off of them.
Right.
And so there's still other people in it. But I think the reason, and this is one of the aspects I really liked about it, and I wish they would have expanded more on it, is you got to think at the end of the third movie, they had lost control of the entire Matrix. Right? Like Smith had overrun it.
Right.
So it became this mutually beneficial thing where you take Smith out for us, we'll stop the war on Zion.
It was
ultimate.
It was basically
for now. We'll be a ceasefire.
What's the opposite of mutually assured destruction? It's
yeah.
You can't survive without us because Smith will take over and just kill us all, and then we can't beat your machines in Zion. So there has to be some sort of meeting of the minds and some sort of compromise, because otherwise we're both going to die.
We're all going to die. Yeah. And so I like the fact that where was I with that? Damn, where was I?
Bringing back Trinity, she's the one.
Yeah, no, after that.
What are the things you really liked about the movie, and then you went off?
Yeah, that's what I do a lot, man. Fuck, I might have smoked that away many years ago. What point was I talking about? Anyways, Jesus,
it doesn't matter.
Anyways, go ahead. But go ahead. It'll come
back
to me.
So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was how meta the movie becomes. For me, they took all the philosophy and all the religion and all the metaphysical, what are we if not just a brain in a jar and that kind of thing, and they replaced it with not necessarily fourth wall breaking, but really nudging hard at the fourth wall.
Oh, they easily just point and go at it. I mean, at the meta, like it's brought up once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. The Matrix within the Matrix, like the opening scene.
So basically,
bring me back later. Remind me, mutual destruction.
Mutual. Just go ahead. Just talk about it.
No, but they're talking about. Yeah, we'll bring back that. But you're talking about the meta-ness. So bring those back up later.
Okay.
But the mutual destruction at the end of the third one was like Smith's taken over, and now Neo, like, we have to come to some agreement. So at the same time, you would think that Neo's sacrifice would mean something to the machines. By all means, at this point in the third movie, they understand what love is, and that's one of my favorite parts of the entire trilogy. Is
sure.
Like that's the most advanced AI.
What is love, but if not a chemical reaction stimulated by the brain? Yada,
he
yada,
said,
yada.
he said, love is just a word, but what's important is the
Connotation,
connection that the word
yeah.
implies, which is a beautiful, beautiful piece of writing. But like, so by this point, like, you would think that they would be compassionate, so they would recognize Neo's sacrifice to save them as well. And there's a quick throwaway scene where the new Smith is talking to Neo and says there was a war, and like this is the first time that the robots weren't unified, and you see all these blue light robots fighting these red light robots, and that to me made the most sense, that there would be some people that recognize the sacrifice of Neo and would be more sympathetic to the human cause at that point.
Well,
the fact that like there were, they even said that there were tons of crops lost, crops upon, like,
because Neo becoming the one
brought the war.
Neo becoming the one brought about a whole revolution of people being awakened and leaving the Matrix, and so their battery life became a scarcity, became an actual like natural resource,
and scarcity bred the war.
Right.
And so I like the idea that they brought on Neil Patrick Harris to run it as a business, to say like, okay, we can generate this, like, we don't need all that. Like, if that were ever happen again, we can just run it as a business. Like, we can do this more efficiently.
Right.
And so I really like that aspect, and I wish they would have.
It's Elon Musk. It's Jeff Bezos. It's, if we can cut corners and save money and save energy by eliminating bathroom breaks, by eliminating yada yada, whatever it is, you know, it's he's running the Matrix at, and even has a line. He says, once we introduce you two together in the same Matrix and based all of our energy consumption off of the energy that you guys generate together. He said, what is the line? He says something about, we put you two in the most dire situations because when you're in a dire situation, your human effort takes over, your human capabilities take over, and you strive and you put out more energy and you feed us more. So we constantly are just feeding you these dire situations.
Ultimately, that's pretty much what he says in a nutshell. What I got is, ultimately the new Matrix is a treadmill.
Right.
And they keep pushing the human limits of Neo to, like, they put him on these scenarios where he kind of escapes again, then they just reset him back on the treadmill.
And they reset it. They reset it by basically gaslighting him and convincing. They use Neil Patrick Harris as his therapist to gaslight him and say, "Oh, you had another psychotic break. You had a whatever." So anytime Neo breaks the Matrix or breaks free, they just reset it and set him back. Like, "Oh no, that didn't really happen. You thought you had delusions of grandeur or godlike abilities," which is interesting because it may, especially in a reality where they can reset anything they want. Like, anytime you break the mold or challenge their authority, they just reset it, and then all of a sudden you're the crazy one. So it neuters him and makes him question everything about the reality that he thinks he knows, because fuck it, I'm crazy. Like, of course I think I can fly. Of course I think I can stop bullets. Of course I think I can see the code, quote unquote, within the Matrix and change things because I'm God. Because what would any other, like, schizophrenic person believe? So
that, I like the cage that they put him in. And the one thing I don't like the effect that they did it. I told Michael, like, they do this scene where he's either tripping out or like kind of like bending to the Matrix or whatever, or when he's being controlled at the very climax of the movie by Neil Patrick Harris. They do this like shitty effect. It's like a 90s like blurry, like somebody stumbles out of a bar scene. And it's like they just didn't spend the money on it.
So just for context, let's describe the scene just for people who may not have seen it.
Just
for the legions.
It's
like Shotas.
Like Shotas. When they go bullet time and Shotas, it's like these, like when everyone jumps out of the car and they run up, and it's like these blurry still images.
Yeah, they're shooting at like every other frame per second, basically. So everything looks kind of sped up, but it's also real choppy.
Yeah, it's like, and it's blurry.
So there's a scene where Neil Patrick Harris literally points a gun at Trinity's head and tries to shoot her. And as the bullet is traveling, Neo is trying to bullet time his way out of it.
He explains that he's using the very thing. All the meta-ness comes back in because there's a scene where they're talking in the very early parts of the movie and you can tell it's a jab at whatever corporate people made this movie exist.
Mm-hmm.
And it's them talking about the sequel to The Matrix, the game in which Neo developed in his own Matrix at this point. And they're like, what is the Matrix? It's bullet times, it's actions, it's guns. And so Neil Patrick Harris is breaking down while he shoots the bullet that he used bullet time as a weapon against Neo.
Yes.
Like how ironic it is that the one thing that set you free is the one weapon that we have.
Right.
Anyways, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
So he basically, Neo tries to bullet time and try to catch the bullet, and Neil Patrick Harris as the analyst basically just pauses the Matrix, just hits pause on the program and is able to freely move, and has this whole soliloquy about how we understood bullet time and how you worked it, and so once we understood that, it was just a simple matter of reprogramming the code. So now anything that you try to do within bullet time is exerting effort and giving us more power and giving us more energy.
Give me all your energy. It's an inside joke for y'all. But yeah.
So
it's pretty much it.
So it's they take all the Matrix tropes and all of the things that you love about the Matrix, and they do find a way to turn it on its head and make sense within a new reboot, new reissue. But it still lacks the depth and the brevity. The not the brevity, the depth, the
gravitas.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean,
they took all the philosophy out and turned it into one big meta joke. Like they even joke about
it's super meta. There's like
so meta to the point to where they actually are doing flashbacks of the original movie. There's a scene where he first meets Morpheus.
Yeah, don't worry if you've never seen the first three, please do. But if you haven't seen them in a while, don't worry about it because they tell you everything you need to know about 30 times. Like, oh, you remember this? Hey. Which I understand. I think that I like the fact that Lana Wachowski, I think is how you say it, Wachowski, said ultimately they're going to do this movie with or without us. It's a big point. They talk about it in the boardroom at the beginning of the thing. They're going to do another Matrix. Like, you're going to do it with you or without you.
Right.
And she had just lost her parents or her mom or someone like that.
So for reference, within the movie, Keanu Reeves as the video game developer meets with his boss, who turns out to be the new Agent Smith, and he sounds exactly like him and does the entire like Mr. Anderson.
Yeah.
There are things you must know. So within that, his boss tells him that we're going to make a new Matrix game with or without you. Here's what the board of directors survey on the crowd has done. Like they're
doing the marketing research.
The marketing research of we want more bullet time, we want this, we want that. And so that's the whole impetus for what sets off Neo recognizing that he might be the one, because he's plagued by memories that he keeps getting gaslit on, and yet things tie into his video game Matrix so well that he can't help but recognize that like there's reality mixed in with fantasy, and I can't tell the difference.
Yeah. He literally took his own story and made it a video game, and it was one of like the highest selling. It's like Fortnite of everything. It's like the greatest game ever, apparently. But yeah, he's talking about like he's like the go to video game designers or whatever. And at one point he has like a suicide attempt, and Agent Smith is his boss. And at one point, like the only thing that was really confusing is the new Morpheus is a program that he put in his game, but apparently he subconsciously in one of his time goes around on the treadmill.
Pretty much made it sentient.
Yeah, like pretty much made him sentient. And then the hackers that end up freeing like the new mouse and all those people, whatever their names are.
All his crew.
Yeah, his crew, the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar, whatever 2.0.
I don't remember what it's called, but it's not the Nebuchadnezzar, but it's something
2.0, similar. Same shit. But they pretty much break into. This is the confusing part. They hack into the Matrix that the current Neo is trapped on, the treadmill.
Right.
And then not only that, they go further, and then they hack into the video game that Neo has created to free that this Morpheus, game.
Yes.
And then give him sentience through a like little like metallic balls that float around in the real world. which was like, okay, like
it looks like you remember in like Spencer's Gift, they would have the block of pins that you would like put your face into or put your hand into, and it would pop out.
Kind of like that. Yeah,
you got to be
the opening of Black Panther, like the opening sequence.
Yeah,
right?
Like the almost like nanotech kind of thing, but it looks very similar to the old Spencer's Gift thing, like where you would put your hand into a block and the pins would come out. Like you got to be a child in the '90s to get that reference. You got to know what Spencer's Gift is.
Yeah, but I mean, in this technology of like the programs being able to interact in the real world came about because some of the programs have not only defected, but some of the actual robots in the real world have defected. Mm-hmm. And so they came up with this idea that while the humans can play in their robot world and their virtual world, they needed a way to play in the human world. So they crafted this metallic floaty ball thing. All that being said, I appreciate all the fashion choices that oh my god, I'm gonna butcher his name. Black Manta, the guy who played.
Oh fuck! I'm not even gonna attempt it because it's some weird like. You know who we're talking about. Just Google it.
He's got a horse cock, and watch that and Watchmen. He's got a fucking pipe. That's how I know. It's
the dude.
Yeah. Baby holding an apple.
I mean, it's like a baby holding an apple, holding a baby's arm, holding an apple.
But no, I like his choice, but he was so like flamboyant in his thing of like Morpheus. I know Morpheus always wore like the crazy suits and everything too.
It was a little flamboyant.
It's a little flamboyant. It was kind of just like
it was, but it kind of worked in the sense of
you're not gonna capture Lawrence Fishburne, so you might as well do your own thing. Like I get that.
Sure. But he tried. It's almost as if he was so against trying to do a Lawrence Fishburne that he was so dedicated to doing his own thing that it's kind of lost in translation. It's almost disruptive a little bit.
And Morpheus as a character is so deadly serious. Like he's
monotone the entire time. Yeah. They keep trying to use him as the comic relief, and it doesn't really work.
But yeah, what's his name?
Is it Regis Cordic?
Nope.
It's something with a Y. It's something Batin the second. Gosh, I should know this.
Not coming up.
Whatever. Either way.
You fail. This is all getting cut out.
Abdul Mateen.
Yaha Abdul Mateen. That's it.
Yaha Abdul Mateen.
Yahya Abdul Mateen. Yeah. Thank you.
What?
Yeah, that's his name.
Yahya Abdul Mateen the second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy. Sorry, I knew it was a Y, but I knew I was going to butcher it. But yeah, he was Black
Manta.
Yeah,
that's fine. Just call him Black Manta. It's fine.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
He's Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen, which that's a show.
Which also full dong.
Yeah,
full hanger in that one.
Touched that one.
Oh, did you touch that?
No, I mean that's. But you can take that over. Again, we're pretty comfortable with who we are over here at what you've been watching. Pretty progressive. Anyways, but yeah,
hey, you do you.
Hey man, whatever. That's part of our motto. But yeah, man, but like I liked him as Morpheus, like again, but it was such a different take on him, which again, I know you're not gonna capture Lawrence Fishburne, so like might as well do your own thing. The one thing that I will say this movie, and I saw it with my girlfriend, and she's pretty like passive on the Matrix. She likes the
shout out to Angie.
Shout out to Angie.
You're beautiful.
I love you,
you're awesome.
But the one thing that she said is the love story. The love story between Neo and Trinity is very real. There's a point where they're like, we can't, like the crew or whatever rescues Neo, and he sees Trinity across the way, and he's saying that like,
when he first
wakes up,
they basically they reenact his awakening scene when he wakes up in the pod and pulls the tubes
out of his mouth and all that.
So yeah, they reenact that, and he sees across the way, like literally
in this secure room, like
almost tip to tip. Their pods are. He sees Trinity, and she's naked, covered in the embryonic goo. Yeah, the goo.
But yeah, the part that I like though is they pretty much get him out and say, "Okay, you're free," and he goes into the Matrix and he starts to barter for like, what do we need to get Trinity out? And they pretty much say, like, you can't do it. We had one shot to get one of you out. We went with you. And he ultimately says, like, through a series of things, he's willing to pretty much burn down not only the real world, but the Matrix as well. He's like, man, fuck all that. Like, and he doesn't say it outright, but his actions of like, I'm going back for her. You can help me or you can't. And it's like, I'll burn all this shit down for her.
Right.
That to me was pretty gangster. Like the love story is very real, and that is the driving heart of it, of the movie, like through and through. In my opinion, at least. The love story works, is what I'm saying.
Yes and no. I would agree with you in terms of it works in the grandiose plot of Trinity is also the one. But that being said, it feels really unnecessary to the overall arc of the Matrix.
I disagree though. Because remember in the second movie when he's talking to the architect,
okay,
he walked out of the other door and the first thing he did was fly to catch Trinity. He didn't stop anything else. He fucking spun the entire Matrix out of control and doomed Zion to death and the Matrix and its anomaly to go catch Trinity. So I think personally it's on brand.
Okay, sure.
So I get heated about my.
I know it's okay. It's okay. I love my shit. But within that he within the context of the movie of the Matrix Resurrections, he doesn't yet know that Trinity is also the one.
Yeah.
Like that comes much later.
Yeah.
And so his philosophy of we have to get Trinity out kind of doesn't make sense in terms of I've just learned everything that I thought about the Matrix was real and I turned out to be a hero and this, that, the other, and they resurrected me. He doesn't even know that yet. But it seems very selfish minded for him to immediately be like, well, we got to break out Trinity. And if you don't help me, then fuck you, I'm going to do it anyway. It's just, it only, for me, that was one of the main contentions of the story because it seemed very, very selfish driven, and it just seemed to advance the plot only because we need a reason for Neo to go rescue Trinity.
I guess, yeah. I can't argue that point. I would say, yeah. I see what you're saying. As a plot device, I do bump up against it a little bit. I just like when motherfuckers are just gangster about shit. And it's just like, I'm not the one, I'm neutered, but like, fuck that. Like, I'm going for my girl, dog. Like, this life isn't worth living without you. I respect that. I get it. Not because I guess I'm a hopeless romantic in some sense. I understand it doesn't make sense necessarily plotline wise, but in the terms of Neo never wanted to be the savior of anybody. Like, and I'll defend this to like the day I die, but like everyone talks shit about Keanu Reeves acting in the Matrix trilogy. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying Keanu, I love that guy. Like I would do every movie he ever did. I've talked about that on one of the podcasts. But like go back and read the script. There's only one monologue that he delivers more than a few lines, and it's when he first decides to go back in to save Morpheus in the first movie.
Yes.
Other than that, all of his responses
are very all reactionary.
Reactionary and monosyllabic. Like, whoa, what do you mean? Like, it's all questions.
I know Kung Fu, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, when he's talking to the architect, he doesn't have some thing. The architect goes on and on and on, and he's like, you're talking about the Oracle. Like, he says, like, it's all monosyllabic shit. Mm-hmm. So everyone's like, oh, it's his acting. He bit into whatever was there, but there's only a few lines of dialogue here and there.
Well, because
it's mostly him reacting to shit being explained to him.
Sure. Because in those movies, Neo serves as the audience. Like we discover things about the Matrix and about the world that he inhabits as Neo discovers them.
All right.
Whereas in this movie, in the new movie, it's all sort of explained to him, and he kind of goes along with it, but how do I put this? He's almost so ready to accept things. Okay, so perfect example. In the Matrix, in the first Matrix, they explain alternate reality and cyber consciousness and things like that, and Neo is set in that within the script to be the reactionary service. We understand things as the audience, as Neo understands them.
Yeah.
In this movie, they just say terms, and we're just supposed to be accepting of them. They just say things like, "Oh, we can do digital biography now, or biology now. We can do digital biology now. We can do my C4 meets his X5, and so we're compatible." Blah 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 blah. and there's no explanation of it. We're just supposed to accept that these are the terms that are acceptable now in this world, and there's no explanation of them. We just
there is that
they just move on.
There is a little bit of like, and no disrespect, but like Ant-Man and the Wasp, where they're just like, we need science, and
quantum.
They randomly just start saying a bunch of stuff, and you're like, cool, man.
Right. We need a science because
science.
If we reverse our polarity, then we can reverse their polarity, and also
which works because I don't really care. I'm like, all right, man, whatever we got to get Paul Rudd back on screen being silly. Like,
sure. There is a little bit of, I don't mind psycho techno babble, but you can't just say psycho techno babble and expect me to accept it. You have to give me, even in Star Trek, you know, it's like, well, if we reverse their polarity with our polarity, then it's like overcharging a battery.
Right.
And so it's a major science technical term broken down into simple things, which even if it doesn't really connect, even it doesn't really make sense. I get the basic concept, and there's none of that in this movie. They just roll over technical terms and expect you to accept it as, well, that's just the world we live in now.
I think the movie is, and I think it is by nature. I think it was intended to be this way. It is a little bit of a middle finger to the audience in a very slight way of like, hey, remember this shit? Like, yeah, fuck you. We're doing it again. Like, there's an opening scene in the Boondocks on the 4th season, which Aaron McGruder had nothing to do with. And it's the return of Stinkmeaner for the 4th time. And they outright say, like, that's right, we doing a reboot because we don't respect you as an audience. But that part of it, I think, is, it's like we're in on the joke, but at the same time, the joke is on us, the audience. And it's kind of weird. Like, it's a weird feeling to walk out of being like, it's for me, but at the same time, they're like, yeah, fuck you.
And a little bit. That kind of ties into the whole meta-ness of the movie in terms of it's almost clever what they do in terms of breaking the fourth wall, but in the same breath, they also lay bare all of their faults. So like, it's almost hard to criticize this movie because
they're like, yeah, we know.
They address every single one of the faults that I could address in this movie. They address them. They absolutely lay them bare and put them on the front street when they're having the corporate meeting about the new quote unquote Matrix game, and they do this whole montage of different millennial hipster, like, well, it's all about bullet time. Well, the Matrix is all about philosophy, and the Matrix is all about the
guns and
fast
cars.
All we want is it's all about looking cool, and it's all about aesthetic, and like, they address all of those things. And so it's weird when they're almost making fun of us as an audience wanting the same things in a Matrix movie, and yet when they deliver the same things, we're going like, yeah, but it's not the same.
You're right, and they definitely don't put a fine point on it. Like, no, they don't. But at the same time, though, it is like, yeah, you're damn right. I do want bullet time. I do want and I will go back to the fight scenes are not good. There's some cool, very brief moments, and I respect the fact that like what would be a complicated shot for like most directors. There's a scene where I do like the progression of they don't use telephones to get out of the Matrix anymore because landlines don't exist anymore hardly. So they just do portals now, which is like
they do mirrors. Like you can just walk through a mirror, like when in the first Matrix where
he touches the mirror and it frees him. So they go through mirrors or like portals ultimately, whatever, and they can open new doors, kind of like they can open doors, back doors to the, like they did in Matrix 2 and 3.
And they also added the new wrinkle of whoever is in the guardianship, like the
operator,
the tank role, not the tank role like D&D, but tank like from the movie. Tank is there in the Matrix, but no one else can see him except for those that are within the crew.
Yeah, they have like little blue glasses or whatever.
It looks like Google Glass, or like almost. It looks like almost like Dragon Ball Z, like
the Scouters or whatever.
The Scout, the power level 9,000.
Yeah, but I think the people that are in there have like the like little blue glasses or whatever. But so I like that they add wrinkles to it. Like they do some new things that work. But like I said, the fight scenes though, man, go back to that. Like there's some cool stuff that happens, and I do appreciate the fact that it will be a complicated shot for most directors, and that would like, oh my god, this took so long. It's so effortless. Like they go through one of these portals, and I'm trying to describe it as best I can auditorily, but they go in one way, and it's like almost like the scene in Arrival where they jump upwards and fall horizontally, and it's like a half of a second shot where he jumps out of this mirror and spins to like land with his feet on the wall the other way after diving in vertically through the mirror. And it's like, oh shit, that's a really challenging shot that they just did.
Sure.
Effortlessly. So
it's almost like Inception.
Yeah, one of those
or
types.
Brazil, or one of those where it's just you go from shot to shot and change perspective, and that changes the orientation of the character.
Yeah, like effortlessly. But they like in the Smith character, I have no idea what his motivation is. Like, I don't really know what else to say about him.
I don't either.
I love Hugo Weaving. I'm not mad that he did come back. The new guy is serviceable. I don't know his name.
And to his credit, he does a really good Hugo Weaving impression.
Of his mannerisms and stuff, like it's still not quite the Hugo Weaving's hard to do. So he puts his own spin on it. Like the cadence in which he delivers things at is very spot on.
It's almost like a stand-up comedian doing an impression. Like he gets the cadence, he gets the progression, he gets the tonal the tone of the voice, but it's still, you can tell that it's someone doing an impression.
Yeah.
It which again ties into the whole nostalgia feel. It's they reference the original Matrix movie so much that it's almost overbearing.
It is.
It almost leans a little bit too much into the nostalgia in terms of like, hey, remember how cool the Matrix was? Don't you want to see the same thing that we did before? Also, here's some new shit that you haven't seen. Don't know if you want
They don't do enough. If they just gave me the same shit as before, like I'm fine with that. Or if they're like, hey, we're doing a whole new shebang, I'm fine with either one of those, but they didn't do quite enough of either one to really make it like its own thing. You know what I mean? Like, if you're just gonna spoon feed me Matrix 1 again, I'm here for it. Like, give me my bib.
But also, like, I'll just go watch the Matrix again. Like, I'll just why wouldn't I just put on the DVD and watch the original Matrix trilogy and be like, God damn it, I remember this was great. Yeah, hey, remember that?
Yeah,
remember this? Yeah. Members?
Because people like you go back to see it every single time.
Exactly right.
That's all getting cut out. Oh, we're taking a break right now. I gotta go take a piss. Right. And we're back.
We are back.
Thank you for our sponsors, OnlyFans. If you know somebody locally and you want to see them naked, sign up to OnlyFans.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the new porn. Trust me, it's worth it.
Okay.
Do you know a person on Facebook? You want to see them naked? Find out their OnlyFans. It's fucking worth it.
All right. Yeah.
So we were talking about the nostalgia of the movie, and I feel like we kind of hammered that to death. A lot of the new Matrix movie is harping on the nostalgia of the previous Matrix movies, which maybe now is a good time to just jump in and let's talk about.
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about Agent Smith in the new one, and then we'll kind of get into a little bit of the previous trilogy some. But I just feel like the new Agent Smith, like, again, no fault of the actor. I think he was serviceable. I just don't understand his motivation at all.
Yeah.
Like, he was simply in it just to fight Neo. And his reasoning for re-existing, like, I understand the fact of, like, Neo and Trinity coming back alive. Pretty much what Neil Patrick Harris tells him is that you are too valuable to just let die.
Right,
like,
right. We need you.
Yeah, we need you.
You're an integral
part of this. Yeah. And so they just kind of blow over this thing, and maybe I'm not trying to quote-unquote write a better movie, but they just kind of like, oh, well, Smith's in it because Smith's in it. And like at one point he wants to fight, his goal is to get to Neil Patrick Harris's character.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Neo's going to go do. But at the same time, he like fights them in this abandoned warehouse with all of the previous, like in the second movie, there were those werewolves, and like they talk about like all the other
like any ghost or
Yeah,
werewolf
what
or
are they
vampire
called? Not
story.
anomalies, they call them. Shit, I can't remember the term.
Integers, leftovers,
Whatever. Yeah, leftovers from the previous Matrix. So he just fights them for Neo, and they ultimately, at this point, I think they have the same cause.
Right.
And they just do, and the Merovingian shows up and just starts yelling a bunch
for no reason.
Yeah, which he's a fun character, but it really took away from like what was supposed to be an action scene.
But he's also he's got this grizzled gray beard and long hair and this like really like he looks like a homeless like
they all do in a sense except
he
for
looks
Smith.
like a homeless dude, and so he's really unrecognizable, and so I didn't understand that it was him until literally Morpheus points out that's the Merovingian.
Yeah, I picked up on it pretty quick, but only because he was yelling about like you took everything from us, like it was better in the past, and like he was a rich dude and now he's nothing, and so he's like on the run from current programs or whatever. But it was this point they just took away from what was an action scene.
So we should explain that when Neo took over the Matrix and basically caused the peace in Zion in the Matrix, it caused this huge purge of remainder programs and redundant systems and stuff like that. That exiles is what they're called. Anyway.
Yes. But yeah, so they're sitting there fighting in this abandoned warehouse, and the Merovingians going on and on and on. We're fighting these exile programs. The action's kind of whatever. Agent Smith's big move is tackling people through walls. Is it just he does it like 4 or 5 times?
So many times.
Yeah. Everyone gets speared off of something or down a level. It's like, all right, cool.
It's like a Goldberg match.
Yeah, it's kind of like, all right, man. And they were just missing opportunity. And so the weird part is, though, it's like they have these same motivations, and they don't. I feel like they missed an opportunity. So Neo and Smith are so entwined. Mm-hmm. I understand that, and that Smith is ultimately overtook the Matrix. He became an exile program. Neo gave him purpose when he set him free. When he killed him, you are my purpose, and he has a whole monologue about it in the second movie.
Right.
The purpose, what drives us. He's like, you took that from me,
right.
And now my point.
What is it to be human? What is it to be except purpose?
Yeah. And so the thing is that I don't get is that because him and Neo's, let's just say, for lack of a better word, DNA at this point or programming is so intertwined that if they're building a new Matrix based off of Neo's genetic code, as it were,
right,
then it's almost that Smith would be required. It's almost like you can't fill out an HTML or whatever, like on a website, and just leave a code blank. You just can't have a blank space there. There has to be something to occupy that space.
Right.
So it's almost like they should have an Agent Smith there, but they don't talk about any of that. He's just back just to be back. So it makes sense, but you almost have to come to your own conclusion as a fan.
So what you're saying is that because of the ending of the third movie, where Neo and Agent Smith basically become one.
Right.
That in order to resurrect Neo, which they do in this movie, they almost have to incorporate an Agent Smith type programming.
They talk about the illusion of choice and all this stuff, and how, like, in the first Matrix, nobody bought because they didn't have choice. But, like, Neo would know inherently within who he was. Like, he would reject whatever this Matrix system is, you would think, because there's no Smith. Like, that's just my take on it, Does that answer it?
Yeah, if Neo's constant reminder is that he's the one and that he is the God and constant delusions of grandeur of being the shaper of his own reality, which is basically what the original Matrix trilogy breaks down to, is we are all kind of the shapers of our own reality.
Yeah.
Within that, just based in a basic storyteller motif, like according to the Joseph Campbell situation, like there has to be a villain, there has to be a protagonist or antagonist.
Right.
So they can't incorporate a Neo without
the code's incomplete otherwise, I feel like. That's just again, they don't say any of this in the movie. This is
but they do because there is a situation to where literally the new Agent Smith says we have to fight because this is what the code requires, or this is because what the audience requires. At this point, it's so meta and so super involved in itself to where the plot of the movie becomes the plot that we expect, becomes the plot of the original, becomes the plot of it's like pro wrestling. Like
here we go.
It's eventually.
Hang on. If you're playing What You Been Watching Bingo at home, go ahead and check that. Anyways,
if there's a drinking game, down your beer.
Anyways,
so it's like expecting Ric Flair to put on the figure 4. At some point, he's going to put on the figure 4. Do I hope he does the thing that he's going to do? Of course.
It's like
and of course he's going to do the thing that I expect him to do.
Yeah, my thing is that I know that there's just going to be some nonsensical plot device to get them to fight.
Sure.
And I'm fine with that, but I feel like they could have really made it something. You know what I mean? Like, I knew that
and
there
it
was
wasn't.
They just were like, I'm back because I have to be. It's like,
well, and they
expand on that.
Like, they even explain it within the movie. Like, I'm pretty sure that the Agent Smith character says, we have to go through this because that's part of the program.
Yeah.
So they literally explain the fight between Agent Smith and Neo because, it's what you expect. Yeah, and so it's what we have to do. And the whole time, Keanu Reeves, his Neo character, or whatever it is, his name fails me.
Neo.
The new Neo. Yeah. He has a line about, like, I don't like guns. Which doesn't make sense to me because if you remember your past...
Yeah, you shot up an entire lobby.
Okay, so can we get into the problems with this movie?
Yeah, we've touched on some of them, but yeah, go ahead. But I just review and synopsis. I enjoyed the movie. I'm glad it exists. I feel like there was a lot of missed opportunities. I feel like they leaned a little bit too heavy on the meta commentary. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the love story. Overall, I'm glad it exists. I left wanting more though, I wasn't wholly satisfied, and I came into this more than willing to overlook a lot of bullshit
because you're a Matrix fan.
Yeah.
So for me, the main problem.
So A+.
A+, right? Go watch it.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
For me, the main problem started when they brought in a new female director because just what kind of woke bullshit is this? All of a sudden we have to get a female perspective on this. Like, I don't understand it. Like, that's fine. Whatever you want to do,
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, all new. Never directed any movie ever before. Let's go with that. That's fun. Anyways.
No, but in seriousness.
I don't know, cuz he's like, man, fuck you. Hey, Speed Racer's my shit forever.
I do love Speed Racer. I'm not gonna lie. That shit was dope. Listen, that was all jokes. I want to be very clear on that. That was me trying to make a joke. Don't be offended. Okay, you'll be all right. My main problem with this was, it leaned way too hard into the nostalgia aspect. Yep. I mean, even to the point where they're literally showing scenes of the original movie on screen while members of the new movie are talking about the new movie.
Yeah.
It leans too hard into elbowing the audience and being like, hey recognize that? Remember that? Remember? Even to the point where they're showing flashbacks of the old movies, of the original movies. Again, like I said in the beginning, they show you everything that you want in a Matrix movie.
Except for good kung fu. There's like 2 shots of good kung fu, but other than that's my biggest issue.
If you want to see people falling backwards into things, go watch WWE or this movie.
Yeah, it's not like compared to other movies. I'm sure that the fight scenes are fine, but like the Matrix elevated all of that stuff so much,
right.
and like you gotta come correct. Like those movies changed the game. I'm not saying you need to reinvent the wheel again, but like you know that you're the one that upped the standard.
Right.
You can't just forego that now. That's my biggest issue. Was like, come on, and I'm a huge kung fu movie buff. That's part of the reason why the Matrix trilogy resonates with me so much. Is like I can watch a fight scene
because the action sequences in that movie were so amazing and so unlike
anything. It's the art of the martial arts.
Not even forgoing the bullet time aspect, even forgoing the 360 slow motion camera where Trinity does her like giant jumping crane kick thing, forgoing all that, just speaking strictly on the action aspect. That movie is incredible.
Yeah, all three of them are.
You bring in the first movie where he fights Agent Smith, and it's completely like martial arts action oriented, and then you bring in the second movie where it's all gun kata, where it's all
the first one did that too, and then the second one was really heavy on the martial arts again, but they brought in like sword play and stuff like that with Morpheus on it. And then the third one
in the classical like Shaw Brothers like swords and shields and like ancient technique kind of thing.
Yeah, they really leaned into the martial arts on the second one, in my opinion. And the ballet of cars is so cool. Like when they're on the freeway, like that's the best way I can describe it. It's a ballet of cars. So, and then the third one, they brought the guns back when they went into the nightclub and stuff, which people were saying was missing from the second one. But yeah, like just the action scenes as a whole. But like they stand, like there's so many shots where there's like 40 SWAT team or agents or whatever coming in, and it's just one person standing on a table, elevated above everyone, just shooting machine guns straight on.
Yeah, very John Woo. It happens like 4 times. Yeah,
like shoot this guy. They're like everyone's a stormtrooper in this shit. It's like I'm not. If you're gonna do cool shit to evade it, like Jessica Chenwick, her character does a lot of cool shit when she first makes an escape because she runs sideways on walls, and then it just kind of stops. It's people just standing on tables shooting people as they come in the door. Right. And it's like, yo, like you elevated the game on all this gunplay shit. Like you took what John Woo did and all that and blasted off with. Like the lobby scene is phenomenal. Like all that, and they just really missed the mark. That's my biggest qualm. The things I liked. Or do you want to talk about some of your dislikes more? I'm sorry, I kind of cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. Some of my dislikes were, again, just it was all of the shine of the philosophy without any of the depth.
Philosophy.
I really enjoyed. It's kind of a double-edged sword because I really enjoy how they leaned into the meta of the movie, but they also leaned really fucking hard onto the meta, and to a point where it almost became distracting and like, okay, we get what you're doing. It's a commentary on the movie making process and Warner Brothers itself and everything else and reboots and sequels and like I get it. Like
which has kind of been done. Like even
it's fine.
They outright tell you why it validates its existence. Like in the movie, they're just like,
but they validate it by saying,
like
we were going to make this anyway, so you might as well be a part of it. And so, whether or not that works or not, I can't really.
The story why Lana Wachowski came back is apparently her parents.
Who?
The new director, the Wachowski sister. Like, shout out to her. I like your body of work.
Listen, all jokes.
Yeah, no, but apparently, like I think it was her mother or father. I think her mother passed away, and she said
best friend, mother, and father.
Yeah, it was a real went through some real devastating times in her life, and they were talking about bringing the Matrix back, and she reached out to her sister Lily, and Lily's like, I need to move on from that for my own things.
Right.
And Lena said it's part of the healing process to like it really felt good to go back and play with these toys in this sandbox again, and it really helped her like in a therapeutic sense. So like I'm glad that it worked. There's no shot on her about it or whatever, but like. It just kind of as a whole was like, Like I'm glad for her it exists and everything. And,
sure. Yeah. I saw an interview where she basically talked about how the inspiration for the movie, came from, we're going to do this movie without you, so you need to give us something. But also, it did come from a point of she was talking about the loss of her friend and and both of her parents,
Right.
and basically was talking about how like, what would I give for one more day with these people?
Right.
And then took it to the extreme of, well, what would I do to bring these people back and then have the rest of my life to shape the world with them?
Wow. Yeah, that's
So
again the love story, man. I dug the love story.
It is a,
and her on the Neo part of him like being willing to burn everything down. Like it, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, it is an interesting aspect. Again, it feels a little forced. Yeah. It feels a little bit heavy-handed. I get where she's coming from. I don't necessarily know that that concept works as a Matrix movie.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen it in a different format, in something new, something original, because ultimately all this movie is just, hey, we recognize that you want to rehash, we recognize that you want to see something familiar. Here it is.
I also feel like the meta wink at the camera to like reboots, like Deadpool kind of does it, you know, like I think there's a joke in there at some point about like superhero movies and stuff, and like the wink to the camera there.
Oh no, he goes back. He goes back and he kills
his former self,
his Deadpool self,
yeah, in X-Men Origins,
movies, yeah,
and like Jay and Silent Bob reboot was yet another. I just feel like the trope of winking at the camera, saying like, "Hey, we know that everyone's tired of reboots and sequels and prequels, and you know, but we're gonna do it anyways." I just feel like even that trope itself is kind of getting to the point of like, all right, man. But
see, here's the problem: is that this movie does that in a very clever way, but it's very heavy-handed.
Yeah, it is more than on the nose. It is in the face.
To the point where you're almost longing for something else. Like you almost want to see something new. Like when we saw the first Matrix, we saw bullet time for the first time. Like right. to see Trinity jump up and do a crane kick in 360 degrees.
Cool as shit, man.
Cool as shit. And then they bring in bullet time. And then they bring in the concept of you can shape your own reality, and I know kung fu and whatever. Like they never accomplished that in this movie.
Yeah, there's
never a moment of I've never seen this before, which is ultimately what you want from a Matrix movie, because in the first movie it was bullet time, it was the 360 cameras. It was a lot.
Yeah.
And then the second movie, it was them breaking down the walls of the Matrix and expanding the universe. And as much as the architect scene gets a lot of flack, I really enjoyed that, because if you break down what he's saying, it opens up the entire Matrix world in a whole new way. It's a lot more tell me than show me, which is a big problem. But it still works in terms of once you break down what the architect is saying, it completely not shatters, but evolves everything that you knew about the Matrix world. And then once they go into the third movie, to where now Neo is interacting in the real world and the Matrix world, and then you get the whole like siege on Zion, where it's just completely action oriented, and it's still something you've never seen before.
Yeah, when they storm, when the squids or whatever, the sentinels break through, and they're just this massive like fluid like stream coming through, and they're firing bullets, and you just see them dropping off by the dozens and the hundreds. But it does nothing to affect their numbers of.
And you got Boba Fett and a mech warrior just throwing out bullets.
Yeah,
like that was a great. That whole action sequence was great. It's mindless, and it plays nothing into the plot that's happening in the movie itself. But it's still awesome to see. Yeah. It's still great. Like
it's 14 minutes of just awe.
You're blown out by the spectacle, and then you have the whole subplot of the kid who is newly released from the Matrix, and he had like all he wants to do is prove himself.
Yeah.
And so his whole mission is to just all I got to do is just reload these giant tanks, basically.
Yeah.
That's his job. That's basically what it breaks down to, is a simple mission of I got to get these bullets from point A to point B. The problem is everything that happens in between that space gets killed.
It's the most dangerous shit you'll ever do.
Ever.
Yeah.
It's almost like Saving Private Ryan,
a little bit, yeah.
or it's magnanimous in its scope.
There you go.
And
your SAT word for the day. Check that on your bingo box. Michael flexing his writing abilities. I love it.
Hey man.
Hey, look, man, we're gonna be us on this podcast. Whatever.
1250, my SAT. Represent. What's up?
That's what's up. That's what's up. No, I feel you though, man. But yeah. Again, this one I didn't need this movie to bring everything new because they've done so much new in the trilogy. But like even like the kung fu, like a lot of people get played out by the third one. But when Neo and Smith have their final showdown and they crash through the building and he does the final thing where he extends his hand and does the come here, and they fight and the storm's going on in the background, and it's like there's like the wall, like the white wallpaper, and it's got the greenish hue to the Matrix, and they're throwing kicks and punches and they're fucking each other up. It wasn't anything I hadn't seen in the second or the first one, but that to me was like, this is my shit. This is why I keep coming back to it.
And again, it was a culmination. It was a callback to all of the Shaw Brothers films and the John Woo era of films, where it's just en masse, just en masse carnage and violence, and which is great. But it was done so well.
Yeah.
And I really feel that the new movie misses a lot of that. It's a lot of things that you've seen before,
but it doesn't.
But it's not done it's not done well.
Right. Right. I feel you on that.
It's a pale imitation. It's again. It's okay. So I'm not going to say don't watch the movie. It's not. I'm not going to say that it's a bad.
We're not ever going to tell you not to watch something unless it's absolute dog shit. I think everything you can sit. Me personally, I can sit through anything once, even if it's just for the experience of oh my god, that was dog shit. But anyways, go ahead.
Right, but so I'm not going to say that's a bad movie. It's not great compared to what has come before, even in terms of if you go into the video game or the Animatrix or any of the other subsidiary
Matrix worlds.
Matrix iterations. It's a pale imitation. They lean really hard on the nostalgia aspect, which, for better or worse, maybe works for you, maybe it doesn't. It's not bad. It's not great. It's not unmemorable. It's just sort of middle of the road, which is
not what I want in a Matrix movie.
Not at all. Yeah. It's almost the worst thing that a movie could be. Like, I'm not gonna forget the movie. I just don't necessarily think of it ever.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's completely watchable. It's serviceable, especially if you're like a Matrix completionist and you're into the lore of what happens within the digital world. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
And it absolutely expands the story.
That's the parts I did enjoy the most. I'm a huge fan of I've seen the Animatrix a bunch of times. The two that get me the most are the Second Renaissance, Part 1 and 2, where they explain how it all happened, where the sky became black. And when I saw the scene of them, the machines waging war upon each other, like I said earlier, the blue light robots and the red light robots, I was like, more of that, please. Like, give me
But it goes nowhere. It ends up going nowhere. They touch on it and then nothing happens from it. And like that was the movie. That's what it should have been.
And you were talking earlier about, we'll get into this because we've had this. We feel like we should at least put this on record once. Michael and I have had the conversation we're about to have with you hundreds of times. But we feel like at least now maybe we can put it to bed because we're going to record it for once. But he brought up earlier the expansion of the Matrix and the architect. And how I've said this before. When I left the theater in the second one, I'm used to the second movie of a trilogy being a cliffhanger. The third movie, as much as I do still enjoy it and I do love it, the conclusion as to why Neo could interface with the machines in the real world made me like the second one less because I was not satisfied with it.
Yes.
Again, and I'm going to kind of give you the somewhat quick synopsis, but we're going to dive into this shit.
You're going to get into this?
Let's get into this shit.
Into it.
This is what we've been watching.
Touch it?
This is what we've been waiting on.
Okay.
That's another WBW. What you been waiting on?
What you been waiting on?
What you been waiting to bump your gums about?
W-dubs.
Yeah, W-dub, baby. But yeah, the architect scene. I've seen this so many times where ultimately what he tells them is that there was a matrix and it was a utopia by all standards. But it didn't work because human beings rejected it because they felt they had no choice. All right. So
their minds couldn't accept that this was a perfect paradise. There was something within humanity that made them reject everything's too perfect. It's a Garden of Eden, and I can't deal with this.
Yeah, and he says, and there's a pivotal part. So they introduce the Oracle, whose job ultimately is to understand the human psyche and program accordingly to where. And what he tells Neo is that we gave you the illusion of choice. Mm-hmm. As in, we never gave you choice. We gave you the illusion of choice. And where I bump into it is because in the third movie, he can just interface with the machines because he's dove into Smith and some part, and the way Smith says is some part of me back on you.
I'm a virus, and
some of you back on me.
Since you're in the real world, I'm in the real world, and so I can interface with computers, whatever. Yeah. Like they never really touch on it. It's just sort of alluded to.
And I'm fine with the fact that Smith was in the real world because ultimately, if you're plugged into the Matrix, like I'm going to be in some, you have all these interfaces in your brain that is literally there to plug you into. Yeah. I have no issue with that. Where I run into it is he says that he gave you the illusion of choice. So really what that says to me, and as corny as it sounds, I remember when I first heard somebody say this, I was like, that's stupid. But it's the only way that it made sense is that it should be a matrix within a matrix.
Yes.
We gave you the illusion of choice. You're still not free.
Right.
Like you're still powering our shit. Like you're 5,000 people that you think are free. You're all plugged in.
So the architect has this poignant moment where he talks about, and he uses all big words, and I think I think this is where a lot of people lose track because it's the Wachowskis trying to be more intelligent than they give their audience credit for. And I think this is where they lose some of their audience.
I will say this, though, and I'll defend the reason why they did that, is that if this machine is so perfect and he crafted and created your entire world, why would he spend the time speaking to you on a lesser level? You're not shit to him. You know what I mean? That's why I like it. That's why I like it. He's like, I'm not fixing to.
I agree.
Keep up with me. I'm your god. Bitch.
But there also is an aspect of
I'm still a viewer.
you do have to kind of have like a little bit of an English degree to understand exactly what he's talking about, which is where they lose a lot of the audience. If you break down what he actually says, it's a brilliant scene.
Right.
Like just in terms of vocabulary, like what he actually says means something.
Right.
Now, that being said, the architect talks about how you are I want to say like the 7th iteration of this.
Fifth, I think. You're the 5th iteration of this.
Either way, we've dealt with this iteration before. You're not the first one that we've had to deal with.
Right. My predecessors? Yeah.
And so they automatically, as the architect, he's already seen Neo come through multiple times. And so he's had to deal with this anomaly. And so he gives Neo the option of, you can either return to the Matrix and save Trinity and this, that, the other, or you can reject me and we're going to kill half of Zion because we've already done the math on it.
You're doing it a little bit. You're taking a little bit each. His option was, you can reinsert your programming back into the Matrix in hoping that this remainder will one day on this iteration flatten out to an even number. Ultimately is what he's saying. So you reinsert yourself as the one, and what we'll do is we'll allow you to get 500 men and however many women or however many men and restart Zion as a whole.
Sure.
Or you can reject me, go save Trinity, and he tells them outright, we have become increasingly efficient at killing everyone in Zion. Like, we're going to do that.
Right. Which sets up the whole attack on Zion for the third movie.
Right. Yeah, he's like, we've become increasingly efficient. Like, we're
going to kill this is the architect carrying out his promise of what he said was going to happen in the second movie in terms of you can rejoin the Matrix or we're going to kill everyone in Zion except for like I think he says like a third of the population or whatever.
Yeah, you get to reset with your population of 500, whatever. You get to pick them, and then we try this again, and I'll see you again at some point.
Right.
And so I like that. That's why the idea of like them rebuilding a new Matrix off of his was like, yeah, man, you're the anomaly. Like we can just account for that in a new Matrix instead of you just sticking out all the time. We'll just build it around this remainder. Like it makes sense. So, but yeah, I never understood why that was, but they just give it this thing of like he can just do it. He can just fry machines now because he's telekinetic or whatever.
Yeah. So
which is fine. I was like, I was never satisfied with that. And I felt like again, just a missed opportunity, man.
It was because
Neo should have been able to free everyone in the real world for the first time ever.
So my problem comes in with when the architect is talking about you're an anomaly and we've dealt with this before and you're just a remainder. You're a leftover. So why wouldn't within that scenario they've just dealt with an anomaly before. They've already discussed it's the illusion of choice. Like we give you the option of choosing whatever you want. And they have the different television screens which show
every possible
outcome. So why wouldn't they just create the illusion that Neo breaks free from the Matrix? And this is we can talk about this. Just our different. In the third Matrix, Neo breaks free and is able to influence the real world and melds with the mega mind machine of the Matrix matriarch or whatever it's called.
Yeah, to go back and fight Smith. You're talking
to go, yeah. Like, so why wouldn't?
So you're talking about like when he goes in to fight Smith at the end because the program Smith is overrun, and you were saying that he gave him the illusion of choice. So you're saying why wouldn't the architect just give Neo like that? That all be the illusion as well, or like he said all that.
So
up in the grand
so when Neo goes to meld with the Matrix mind,
right?
Why wouldn't that be Neo, the one, waking up from the illusion of the Matrix into the actual real world? So like everything he knew about Zion, everything he knew about the Matrix, all this, that, the other. It's all about the illusion of choice. When he finally melds with the Matrix, why wouldn't he just wake up into the snap real world? Does that make sense?
A little bit.
You know what I'm talking about, dog? You know what I'm
saying? I know what you're talking about only because we've talked about it like 40,000 times. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, he tells him it's the illusion of choice. He's like, we never gave you. He never once tells me, yeah, we gave you choice. He's just like, yeah, man, we gave you the illusion of choice. Like, all I need you to do is just keep plugged in, and we keep having a battery forever. You're happy. You think you're out fighting the good freedom fight. Like, what the fuck is it to us? Like, what does it matter? And so, I don't know. But
I remember how it tied in. That's right. I remember how it tied in. So my main problem with the third Matrix movie was how he was able to influence the Sentinels or whatever when he was in the real world.
Yeah.
Like, because it doesn't make sense to me. Like,
no, they don't really explain it. They just simply, the only line is when Smith says, some part of me onto you, some of you onto me.
Like, so to me, that scene would make sense if in the real world, quote unquote, Neo was still in the Matrix. Like, this is still an illusion of an option of choice.
Yeah.
Like an illusion of choice, basically.
Yeah.
So the reason he's able to influence the squids is because he's still within the Matrix,
yeah.
but he believes himself within the real world, and so him interacting with the real Matrix, the matriarch or whatever, opens his mind to now I'm in the real world.
Yeah, no, I get you. Even if
that was a long-winded, drunken rant to get to me.
Michael's tied on a few during the process. Yeah, but you're saying he should awaken. Ultimately, what should have been the terms was, in my opinion, you go in, you save Smith in this version, you leave us a fucking bunch of people. We'll awaken you and your crew into the real world and leave you the fuck alone.
Right.
That should have been the terms.
Yes.
You handle Smith because you are the one in this Matrix. You are fucking, trust me, we don't want you to be here, but Smith is overrun us. You're the only one that can do this. So here's the bargaining chips. You go in, you save Smith, you save our version of the Matrix, we wake you up and X amount of people, and you start the real world, and we leave you the fuck alone. That to me,
and that should have been the
that should have been what
that should have been the ending.
Was my personal opinion.
He melds with the Matrix, and then the Matrix has a real conversation, whether it's the Oracle or the Architect or some sort of meld of that.
Yeah.
To where he basically goes,
or the floating baby face that they had when he was talking.
Whatever. But just you're the first person to actually break through the Matrix. We have run this scenario so many times
we've accounted for it. Yeah.
We've accounted for it, and every single person has made the option to believe in the Matrix. You're the first one that actually
has rejected it at every level.
Is awakened.
Yeah. And
that should have been the ending, is Neo waking up into the real world.
I agree with that. The only thing would be kind of bleak if you woke up and it would be a really downer ending. Or I guess possible for if he woke up and he's the only one there, he's like, oh great, it was better back in there when I could fly and shit, and I'm just waiting to die by myself. Like,
but no, because once it's Socrates or Aristotle or whatever, coming out of the cave. It's primitive man is locked in a cave. And once they see the light of the sun, it is their responsibility to bring other members in the cave into the light. And so that becomes the real nature of the one of I am the first one to. It's like the Buddha or Jesus or whatever.
I mean,
I'm the first one to achieve illumination, and it is my responsibility to bring others into the light.
I get what you're saying. We're saying the same thing, just in different rounds. You would just have him wake up alone in your version, and then take the task of actually going to do it.
It's implied. It's implied. Like, you don't have to actually show it.
It's just a good cliffhanger.
Sure.
In my hypothetical version, he would just make the terms of, I wake up with these people. We're saying the same thing ultimately. His goal is to free these people.
Sure.
So, but that's nuance. But yeah, the Matrix inside the Matrix, as corny as it sounds, as most people would have booed it, that to me was the only logical way to really make it make sense and really expand the world. But again, missed opportunities. Still love the fucking movies.
I mean, I love the first Matrix trilogy. I love everything about the philosophy. I love everything about the
What's not to like about it? You know what I mean? I get the hate. Some people hated the second one because like it's not a mind fuck, man. It missed the mark of the first one. The first one changed everything. You're not gonna strike.
No, right.
You have the light.
You can only expand on, right? And then the third one, you have to have some sort of closure. Yeah. And that's my main problem with the third movie is, as much as I love it and it gives me everything that I like, there is a certain aspect of the ending to me just doesn't make sense.
Right.
And we've already, just like we discussed.
Again, it's so well shot and done that I'll watch it's still a blast to watch.
Sure.
Yeah. Just me nitpicking, I would have done a little differently. And to me, it makes more sense. But yeah. Yeah. Again, blast to watch, though. Whatever they did wrong, they still did it well wrong. So I'm with it. But yeah, man, new Matrix.
So, that about covers that.
I think that about wraps it up, man.
Anything? Underrated actor of the week.
Oh man, is this my job?
Yeah.
Fucking John Leguizamo in anything. Go back and watch King of the Jungle. I think it's called the HBO movie he did. Man, watch.
Wait, King.
Yeah, King.
Explain.
I think he plays someone with. I might be botching this. It might be a different movie, but there was one. It just fucking John Leguizamo. Go watch him in Romeo plus Juliet.
Oh, where he plays Tybalt?
Tybalt, man, fucking so good. Oh man,
Montague.
Yeah,
I hate the word.
I hate the word.
Or wait, what does he say? Peace.
Oh yeah,
I hate the word.
Yeah, you definitely.
As I hate Montagues, hell, and thee.
That's right. He's
the Prince of Cats, son.
Yeah, but I think it's.
What was his?
Hey, I'm gonna Google this. You run your flip charts for a second.
What was his HBO special that he did about the Hispanic history?
Oh, that was on Netflix.
Netflix.
It was Latin History for Dummies, I think.
Latin History for Dummies.
Yeah, all of his one-man shows.
If you have not, Mambo Mouth,
Sexaholic,
Latin History for Dummies. He breaks down Latin history and does voices and characters in such an entertaining way. It shamed me. It just he's so good at what he does, and in a monologue. Like, it's literally John Leguizamo for 90 minutes telling stories, and you are totally captivated. 100%. Also, shout out to The Pest.
Oh, yeah, The Pest is... Yeah, okay. The movie I was talking about is called King of the Jungle, and here's just a quick synopsis. A mentally impaired New Yorker, John Leguizamo, becomes enraged and violent after the murder of his mother. Really good movie. Really good movie.
Also in The Happening.
Yeah, he is in The Happening. Yeah, he's also in Super Mario.
Super Mario. Yeah, That's Mario. Right. Yeah. Oh, fuck.
He's in John Wick. He's amazing. He's really good in Chef.
Is he in John Wick?
Yeah. He's in the first. He's the guy that punches the dude for stealing John Wick's car. He's like, you just stole from him, right? Yeah.
Wait, what?
And he's briefly in the second one, I think, when he shows up to get his car towed.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he's in John Wick. Yeah, it's like brief. He's not in it like tremendous amount, but he's definitely in it.
Also, Executive Decision with Steven Seagal.
He's Benny
and they
Blanco
kill him off
Bronx,
really
man.
quick.
He's Benny Blanco from the Bronx, man. Like, go watch
Benny Blanco. Fuck Benny Blanco from the Bronx.
Yeah, man. No, John Wick was on.
Oh, and also Clown from Spawn.
Oh yeah,
Clown,
the Violator / yeah.
I'm the Penetrator. The Syndicator.
The Destructinator. The Violator. You've been violated, little girly man. Yeah, he's good in everything. That'd be my.
You look so crispy.
Yeah. One
John Leguizamo.
Yeah, he's got it all around, man. He's in Ice Age. Got that sweet DreamWorks money. He's in Encanto, the new movie. I want to watch it just because of him.
We haven't seen it, but also watch The Pest. If you want to see John Leguizamo act like a cartoon character for about 90 minutes, it's great.
Yeah. It's the premise runs thin immediately, but man, it's his performance.
So welcome to The Matrix Meets The Pest with the Dudley Brothers.
We're talking underrated performances. Yeah, man, John Leguizamo in anything, give that man a statue. But yeah, his one man plays are incredible, and it's not like really stand up. It really is like a one man act, and they're really heartfelt and funny, and yeah, John Leguizamo in anything underrated. Anything else you want to bring up?
I'm fucking done, dude.
We're done?
We got it. We're out.
All right.
We need a sign off.
Tuck Nasty, you got anything you want to talk about? Oh, we're going to have an upcoming segment with the young man. We're not sure what to call it, but we're going to have him watch one movie that came out before he was born.
Oh, yes.
Then we're going to call it like Young Blood. What is it? Young Blood, New Old Reels or something like that?
New takes on old movies?
Yeah, new takes old shit. Something like that. New takes old flicks, something like that.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, we're gonna see what he wants to watch.
I'm gonna cut out everything that he says, so don't worry about it.
Whatever. We need young eyes on this shit. You might watch something I base my life off and be like, you have wasted your entirety of your existence.
Why did you do this?
Yeah.
John Leguizamo for why?
Yeah. And if
Kevin Smith for why?
And if I haven't seen the movie, I'll probably watch it with him because I need some refreshers. I'm looking at the DVD collection over here. And got some dust on it. Got some dust on some of these bad boys. So,
anywho, so we're gonna awkwardly cut out. We need a sign off.
Till then, I don't know. Watch something, talk about it, see something new. And you know what? This is my sign off. If you go to a movie theater, buy some snacks, even if you're not going to eat them. Support your local movie house, man. That's what's up. Buy some snacks, even if you're not going to eat them. Just take the Snickers home for later, whatever.
Yeah, totally support your local movie theaters. if you go see a movie, go talk to a friend about it. That's one of my favorite things ever is to go see a movie and just talk to somebody about it, which is the whole basis of this podcast. So anyway, this is the marvelous Mike Dudley signing off for the What You Been Watching.
What You Been Watching. Plug, plug, plug.
Hey, what you been watching? Hey, dog.
Hey, dog, what you been watching?
What you been watching?
Good stuff. Brother, I love you. MD3 signing off, man. Have a good one.
Outs. Hey, go see a movie.